College Flow IQ Online Master of Caution. The sleeping throne will eventually awaken, and the god holding the sword will finally descend. Through a second time crossing, Xian becomes the one who surpasses the Eastern Plum Blossom. With the 5 most powerful skills in his hand, he awakens the spirit of Ling Tong martial soul and the spirit of Jushin sword martial soul, and will surely forge the supreme throne in the magnificent era. What kind of kicking the jade anus, what kind of punching Tang Hao, what kind of explosive hammer Qianshuan disease are all basic exercises Xian. I didn't expect them to be so strong either, mainly because they are too weak. P.S. Self-created college, Qingmei Bibidong, recommended for explosive liver. P.S. There are also old books such as, People in Douluo, My Martial Soul Can Simulate Infinitely, and, Douluo. Sign in at the beginning of the game, Tian Qing Niu Mang, seeking support keywords of the novel. Starting from Douluo Qingmei Bibidong, Invincible pop-up window, starting from Douluo Qingmei Bibidong, Invincible TXT complete collection download, starting from Douluo Qingmei Bibidong, Invincible latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Second Soul Piercing, Green Plum Bibidong. Seeking collection recommendations. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Second Soul Piercing, Green Plum Bibidong. Seeking collection recommendation. The front part may be a bit boring, it's all about killing monsters and upgrading, so the back part won't be so boring anymore. So since I clicked on it, it's still free to read, so let's take a look more. Maybe there will be a surprise later on. Mo Xin seek support, thank you. In the afterglow of the sunset, the warm wind whizzed through the lush grassland, rolling up flying flowers in the sky. On the grass, the young man with crossed legs and a corner of his mouth holding grass squinted his eyes slightly, his expression relaxed and comfortable. The young man comfortably felt the cool breeze enveloping the charming fragrance of flowers, and lifted his eyes slightly to watch the wind throw half-fallen flowers from the grass into the air, then spiral down. Time flies. I didn't expect to have traveled to Douluo continent for 2.5 years. Time flies so fast. Xian spat out the straw from his mouth, sat up, and reached out to catch a colorful petal, his tone mixed with some anticipation. Regarding the matter of crossing to Douluo, Xian was quite distressed because it was already his second time soul piercing through another world. You heard me right, this is already his second time traveling. The last time he traveled from the Blue Star to a martial arts world, he struggled to sign in for 10 years with a sign-in system, and practiced martial arts secrets for more than 10 years. Just as he was preparing to go out of the mountain and fight against invincible opponents in the world, oppressing major forces and saints to pursue a happy life, he ended up crossing over again. Family members, who understands? When I was about to become a winner in life by eating delicious food and drinking spicy food, TM traveled again. And the system is also gone. However, it is gratifying that he became Qingmei with a girl named Bibidong. That's right, her name shares the same name as Pope Bibidong of the Martial Soul Hall in the original works of Douluo continent. Qingmei is suspected to be young Bibidong. Moreover, the martial arts secrets he had practiced for more than 10 years in his past life were still deeply engraved in his mind. These martial arts reserves, similar to those of the Golden Finger, which accompanied his soul to the Douluo, also gave him a lot of comfort. In short, traversing the year of Douluo Ikuan, Qingmei seems to have been a child of Bibidong. Before crossing into the world of martial arts in his past life, Xian, who was in the Blue Star, had already read the novel Douluo continent. Although the timeline of the novel's occurrence was more than a decade later, and after more than 10 years, many memories had become blurred, he still remembered some things. Brother Xian, why are you here? It's time to go home for dinner. In the sea of flowers swayed by the warm wind, on the lush grass, a delicate and beautiful little girl smiled and waved at Xian. The fair skin of the little girl shimmered with a faint halo in the sunset, and her pink-purple pupils were like 2 purple gemstones. Her dark and soft thick hair moved with the wind, and her lips under her delicate Xiong nose lightly pursed, making her incredibly lovable. The little girl's name is Bibidong, suspected to be the ruler of the martial soul hall in the original work, and now she is Wang Xian's Qingmei. When Bibidong was very young, he was taken home for adoption by Wang Xian's parents who worked part-time at the martial soul hall. 2.5 years ago, Wang Xian's parents unfortunately fell in the Star Forest due to hunting soul beasts in the martial soul hall. At that time, the existing Wang Xian crossed over from the world of martial arts and woke up in the body of a heartbroken child, relying on Bibidong for survival until now. Due to the fact that their parents worked part-time at the martial soul hall during their lifetime, they were able to receive some monthly compensation from the hall. In addition to their clothing and food expenses, they could also save a sum of money, so the two of them were also considered to have no worries about their food and clothing. Okay, Donger. The boy stood up and came to the girl's side. By the way, Brother Wang Xian, just now someone from DC District asked us to go to the sub-hall of the Martial Soul Hall in DC District tomorrow to awaken our martial souls. Bibidong's big pink-purple eyes flickered, and his small white jade lotus-like hand waved excitedly, with a look of longing in his eyes. Can we go awaken the martial soul now? Wang Xian asked excitedly, but in fact, he and Donger had already reached the age of awakening their martial souls at 6 years old a month ago. Due to the fact that the sub-halls of the Wuhuan Hall in the urban area are open every quarter, the two of them were unable to awaken their martial souls at the first time. Now it seems that they can finally awaken their martial souls. Yes, Brother Wang Xian, after awakening our martial soul, we have a chance to become soul masters. Bibidong waved her small fist. If she could awaken a powerful martial soul, then she could protect Brother Wang Xian in the future. In Douluo continent, every child over 6 years old will have an opportunity to awaken their martial soul, and only a very small number of them can awaken their martial soul and become noble soul masters. Almost everyone knows. Not all soul masters will become strong, and all strong will always be soul masters. In this world where the strength of soul masters is paramount, rare and powerful soul masters almost control all resources. As a traveler, Wang Xian naturally looks forward to awakening his martial soul and becoming a soul master. Only by becoming a soul master can the techniques in his mind truly realize their value. He remembered that the martial souls of the parents of the original owner of this body were Long Sword and Snake Whip, both belonging to the category of weapon martial souls, and he didn't know what specific martial souls he could awaken. Thinking of this, Wang Xian suddenly remembered something and turned his head to compare with Bidong seriously, saying, Donger, if you awaken 2 martial souls tomorrow, you must hide one of them well and only expose 1 martial soul. 2 martial souls. Isn't that something that only super geniuses can awaken? How could I possibly? And why hide the fact that there are 2 martial souls? Bibidong blinked his big pink eyes and muttered in confusion, bulging his mouth. The young Bibidong, who was not rendered by various chaotic currents, still had a simple mind. In order to better protect oneself, if someone with ulterior motives reveals the possession of the twin martial souls, it may bring many bad things, so try to hide it as much as possible. Moreover, awakening the twin martial souls is not non-existent, just in case. Wang Xian said with a faint smile. He remembers very clearly that Bibidong, as the Pope of the Martial Soul Hall in the original work, was a super genius with twin martial souls. If Donger is the childhood Bibidong of the Martial Soul Temple in the original work, then Donger must be able to awaken 2 martial souls and become an unparalleled twin martial soul super soul master genius. But he doesn't want her talent to be known to anyone else, otherwise it could easily cause a lot of trouble, and young Donger is also likely to be involved in complex forces. He doesn't want Donger to gradually become a cold-blooded person without warmth, like in the original work, due to the environment and various emotions being exploited. The relationship between Bibidong and him is no longer just a childhood sweetheart that can be described simply. It is a relationship that can have infinite imagination and is intertwined with family affection and green plums. Well, that's right, that's right. Without the protection of powerful forces and strong ones, they can only take every step carefully. Although his parents used to work part-time at the Martial Soul Hall, it does not mean that they will be protected by the Martial Soul Hall, nor does it mean that they will join the Martial Soul Hall. Okay, listen to Brother Wang Xian. If I awaken my twin martial souls, I will definitely keep it a secret from the outside world, Bibidong said obediently, pulling Wang Xian's arm. Although she couldn't fully understand the meaning behind Wang Xian's words, she knew that he was teaching her how to protect herself for her own good. What she said is if she really awakens the twin martial souls, she will definitely practice well and become a powerful soul master to protect Brother Wang Xian. The girl's thoughts are very pure, this is her only longing for the future in these years. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Martial Soul Awakening Collection Recommendation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Martial Soul Awakening, Seeking Collection Recommendation. The night was gradually rendered by the morning light, and a faint golden halo shone through the sea of clouds. The earth was draped with a thin layer of pale golden veil. Brother Wang Xian, you're pressing my hand. In the well-equipped room, suddenly came such an angry and annoyed sentence. You're hurting me. It was a girl's angry murmur. The boy who woke up looked at the girl at the bedside with a muffled expression, then looked at her slightly reddened arm before gently rubbing her hand and saying, Donger, why did you sneak up to my bed again last night? I'm a bit afraid of sleeping alone. Just now, the girl who was a bit confident suddenly felt like a deflated ball, explaining with a sticky tone. Family members, who knows? It seems that Bibidong, who wielded the power of the Martial Soul Palace Pope in the original work, was like this when he was a child. After rubbing for a while, Wang Xian got up and went to wash up. Bibidong, with a rosy face, tidied up the bed before leaving the room. After washing up, the two of them began their morning exercises. Like the constant mountains of the sun, the holy sun comes from the east. As the mental formula began to run, the boy on the roof was gradually enveloped by a faint golden halo, making him look like a small sun, very dazzling. The girl in the yard holds a wooden sword, sometimes blocking and sometimes stabbing, each move is very standard. The sun rose 3 times, and the boy finally finished his work and jumped off the roof. Brother Wang Xian, when you were just practicing, you looked like a little sun. Does this mean that your 9-yang holy divine skill is about to enter? Bibidong put away his wooden sword and asked curiously. Almost so. After awakening the martial soul today, there should be a significant improvement in the 9-yang holy divine arts. The 9-yang holy divine skill is one of the 5 major martial arts techniques he signed up for in the world of martial arts in his previous life. It is the top-level cultivation method for internal skills. When practicing this method, the speed of internal skill cultivation is much faster than that of any other internal skill method, and the depth of the practitioner's internal skills is much higher than that of peers. This internal skill is divided into 9 layers, each layer can condense 1 yang. Breaking through the 9 layers can condense the 9 yang. When the 9 yang appear together, the true power of the divine skill begins to manifest. According to Wang Xian's speculation, the 9 levels of 9 yang should correspond to the 9 stages of a soul master, from level 10 soul warrior to level 90 title Douluo. Perhaps every time he breaks through level 10, he can condense 1 yang. When all 9 yang are ready, his divine skills are considered complete. Of course, this is only a hierarchical correspondence, not a strength correspondence. At the same level, practicing the 9 yang holy divine skill is naturally more powerful. According to Douluo Continent, the soul power of soul masters who have practiced this technique is much faster and more profound than that of soul masters of the same level. Because the soul power of Douluo Continent is actually the same thing as the internal skills of the martial arts world, with only a different title. The reason why Wang Xian is so certain is twofold. Firstly, it is an inference he has been practicing for a long time, and secondly, it is the same conclusion in the original novels of Douluo Continent. Although the 9 Yang Holy Divine Skill is a top-level internal skill cultivation method, it is not suitable for women to cultivate. Among them, the yang energy required for initial cultivation is something that women do not possess, so he did not teach Bibidong. Although he did not teach Bibidong any internal martial arts, he could teach her other martial arts. The swordsmanship that Bibidong is currently practicing is the Xianmen Sword Classic, which he signed up for in his previous life. The Xianmen Sword Classic almost encompasses all the top swordsmanship in the field of swordsmanship, such as imperial swordsmanship, drawing swordsmanship, and returning 10,000 swords to the sect, making it the top swordsmanship classic in the field of swordsmanship. The scope of the Xianmen Sword Classic has actually surpassed the ceiling of the martial arts world and reached a higher level of realm. Gods and Immortals. Because the general outline of the Xianmen Sword Sutra has this sentence. Heaven and earth are sheaths, all things are swords, swords leave the Xianmen, slay gods and immortals. This is a technique that may touch upon gods and immortals. The immortals and gods in the Sword Classic refer to the immortals and gods in the world of immortality and chivalry where Wang Xian lived in his past life, which was between the middle and high martial arts, rather than the martial arts sewer world of Douluo. As for whether the Xianmen Sword Sutra can truly slay gods and immortals, Wang Xian did not completely master it, so he does not know how strong it is. He has never heard of immortals and gods in his past life, and they are only legendary. So the strength of the Xianmen Sword Classic cannot be measured yet. Of course, the prerequisite is to truly understand and master the Xianmen Sword Classic. With systematic assistance in his previous life, he has been practicing for more than 10 years but has not been able to break through that ceiling. I wonder if there is a chance in this life. Undoubtedly, such a terrifying technique is an invincible existence in the world of fantasy sewer Douluo. Currently, Bibidong is only practicing the most basic swordsmanship, which belongs to the ordinary swordsmanship moves in the world of martial arts. In other words, it is the ordinary sword swinging in the world of Douluo. Dong'er practices swordsmanship well, it will be of great use in the future. Wang Xian rubbed Bibidong's head and said with some indulgence. Okay. Bibidong nodded obediently, full of determination. Before, she had asked Wang Xian countless times curiously how he had obtained these techniques. Wang Xian told her that he had obtained them in his dream, but he couldn't explain that strange encounter. So, later on she didn't pay much attention to these things and just obediently practiced swordsmanship. Wang Xian also considered teaching Bibidong martial arts for a long time. After several final considerations, he chose the relatively suitable Xianmen Sword Sutra among the 5 major martial arts to teach her and told her not to use it easily in front of outsiders to avoid being missed. After all, this cultivation method is not simple, it is the strongest cultivation method. If outsiders learn about it, it can easily lead to disasters. As for the remaining techniques, it's not too late to teach them in the future. After all, it's already difficult to master just the Xianmen Sword Classic. After lunch, Wang Xian and Bibidong went to the sub-hall of the Martial Soul Hall in the DC area to awaken their martial souls. DC District is just one of the 4 major urban areas under the Martial Soul City, with a separate branch hall of the Martial Soul Hall that awakens the martial soul independently. Every soul warrior who awakens a martial soul here and possesses certain qualifications will be eligible to enter the DC District Junior Soul Master Academy for further studies. After graduation, they will be selected and assessed before being eligible to enter the Advanced Soul Master Academy for further studies. The Martial Soul Hall of Awakening Martial Souls is located in a prosperous area of DC District, about 4 to 5 kilometers away from the outskirts of DC District where Wang Xian and his companions live. By the time Wang Xian and Bibidong arrived, the awakening of the martial soul had already begun for some time. After a while, the names of Wang Xian and Bibidong were pronounced in the main hall. The 5 children whose names were pronounced were taken to the main hall by the staff. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Xian, the Dean of the DC District Junior Soul Master College. the martial soul seat mountain sculpture, and I am the 62nd level War Soul Emperor. Today, I will awaken your martial souls for you. Those who can awaken their martial soul and have a certain innate soul power can directly obtain the qualification to study in our college. Among them, soul masters with good talents will also receive subsidies and rewards from the college. Those who can settle in the martial soul city are mostly children of soul masters, and there is no shortage of talented children. Nowadays, there is fierce competition among soul master colleges in major urban areas, and Xian inevitably has to recommend his own soul master college to avoid the fertile water flowing out of the human field. After listening to the self-introduction of the middle-aged man with thick beard and silver frost on his temples ahead, the children who were still familiar with the level system of soul masters under the influence of the surrounding environment exclaimed in amazement. Some children even held their fingers and counted time and time again, then stared at the landing mountain with admiration. Don't be nervous, have you seen the awakening ball in front of you? Put your hands on it, relax your whole body, and don't have any resistance. Do as I say, and you can awaken your martial soul. The awakening ball is a tool used to awaken martial souls. The awakening ball is made of special materials and is expensive. In addition to having these awakening balls in the martial soul hall sub-hall, those who specifically go to remote mountain villages to awaken martial souls usually carry awakening stones. Xian followed the steps mentioned by Xian and placed his palm on the awakening ball, relaxing his mind and keeping his limbs calm. At first, he only felt a warm current gathering in his abdomen, and then this warm current began to flow towards his limbs. In this situation, his consciousness fell into a mysterious state. The hazy consciousness gradually became clear, and the dark and disorderly world was filled with coldness. Looking around, one could vaguely see scenes of corpses and blood seas. The plateau was covered with various eerie patterns of dense white bones, the mountains, rivers, and seas were in a state of disrepair, and the end of the earth was filled with dazzling blood. Just as Xian was horrified by these scenes, the pitch-black sky suddenly thundered, and an ancient sword wrapped in endless power, accompanied by the singing of endless gods and ancient Buddhas, suddenly cut through the night sky. Surrounded by countless illusory images, it looked like a puzzle of countless worlds. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Ling Tong and Zhu Xian Seeking Collection, recommended. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Ling Tong and Zhu Xian, Seeking Collection, recommended. The cold sword light shone across the entire sky and earth, and the terrifying sword seemed to split the whole world apart. The divine sword, carrying billions of pounds of strength, fell into the plateau like a stream of light. At this moment, the whole world trembled. Before Xian could recover his senses, the whole world was shattered under this sword. In the dim and hazy sky, he saw a pair of molten golden pupils hanging high in the deep sky. Inside the main hall. As the awakening of the martial soul progressed, the awakening ball in front of Bibidong suddenly lit up, and the number 10 suddenly appeared above the awakening ball. Behind Bibidong's petite figure, a huge spider appeared, with black as the main tone and 7 brilliant colors interwoven. The rotating golden pupils showcased the ruler's aura to the fullest, and the evil aura was even more frightening. At the same time, in the palm of her immature right hand, another martial soul emerged that revealed the aura of an emperor. However, due to Bibidong's quick grip, the martial soul also disappeared from her palm, so much so that Xian, who was in charge of the awakening of the 5 children's martial souls, did not notice any clues. Death Spider Emperor. Surprisingly, he is the Emperor of the Magic Spider, the Death Spider Emperor with the title of Emperor of Insects. Innate soul power is still at level 10. Even the knowledgeable director of the Junior Soul Master Academy, Xian, couldn't help but exclaim in surprise that he had awakened a top-level martial soul with innate soul power of level 10. On the mainland, people generally believe that the quality of martial souls can be classified into lower, medium, upper, and top levels. Soul masters with higher martial soul qualities generally have higher innate soul power and talent, and higher future achievements. And this Death Spider Emperor is an absolute top-level martial soul. Just as Lu Shan was about to walk up to Bibidong to carefully examine, a strange explosion suddenly came from the sky. The entire DC area was suddenly filled with wind and clouds, lightning and thunder, and the red sword lightning seemed to tear open the entire sky. Wang Xian suddenly burst out with a terrifying aura, and a silver shining ancient sword appeared behind him. The simple and mysterious sword surged with a terrifying blade, as if the blade had a spirit. Faced with this mysterious and terrifying sword, everyone's hearts trembled, with an illusion of wanting to bow down and worship. Even at the level of Soul Emperor, Lu Shan had this absurd idea at that moment. This is a tremor from the depths of the soul, which has little to do with one's own strength. That is an ancient sword that is permeated with silver light throughout its body, exuding mystery in its simplicity. The terrifying blade of the sword seems to pierce through the void, and the handle is black, like a black divine jade cast. The sword body is mainly silver, with a brilliant 7-color outline to create a winding and mysterious pattern. At first glance, those strange patterns are like dragons soaring, divine phoenix flapping its wings, and Qian stepping on the sky. These mysterious patterns are slowly outlined, simple and natural, seemingly in line with the principles of the Great Road. With the appearance of the ancient sword, the mysterious phenomenon above the DC area disappeared like a fleeting fragrance. What exactly happened to the heavenly sword abyss? Is it possible that a heavenly pride has descended, or is it possible that a soul master with a sword martial soul has broken through the title of Douluo? The main hall of the Martial Soul Hall in the northern urban area of the Martial Soul City was filled with astonishment as the upper floors of the hall looked at the flashing red sword in the sky. The vision just now was too terrifying and must be investigated. They only saw celestial anomalies and couldn't figure out what was happening, so they had to go and investigate. Send the order and closely monitor whether there are any newly appointed Douluo titles in the Soul Master realm. At the same time, pay attention to whether there are any reported Tianjia materials in each Martial Soul Hall, and be sure to notify Douluo Hall as soon as possible. In the Grand Hall of the Martial Soul Hall, the powerful and imposing figure turned his back to the crowd and spoke calmly. At this moment, in the Martial Soul Hall of DC District. As Wang Xian squinted his eyes, a brilliant golden color flashed through his pupils. And above the awakening stone in front of him also appeared a number. 10, but this number was not stable and seemed to be changing. Looking at the number about to collapse, Wang Xian suddenly thought of something, and then he unconsciously put away his martial soul, which finally froze the number 10. This is a silver sword spirit. Surprisingly, the innate soul power is also level 10. Awakened another top-level martial soul. Also, what happened to the sudden release of terrifying pressure just now? This sword martial soul is not simple. Lu Shan froze there, his heart beating rapidly. Unexpectedly awakened 2 innate heavenly princes full of soul power. Wang Xian, who had come to his senses, looked at the numbers on the awakening stone with fiery eyes. He awakened 2 martial souls, one of whom is suspected to be divine level. Almost all soul masters on the mainland only know that the quality of martial souls can be divided into 4 levels. Low, medium, high, and top. However, they do not know that there is another level above the top. Divine level. If there are core figures from thousands of factions behind the Martial Soul Hall here, then Wang Xian's martial soul quality should not be simply defined as a top-level martial soul. Because the lineage of the Tianjia family inherits martial souls, the angel martial soul is a divine-level martial soul. Only at the divine level can one possess innate soul power that surpasses level 10. Just now, the numbers on the awakening ball were clearly about to change. Wang Xian recalled the strange scenes he saw when he awakened his martial soul just now, feeling that his sword martial soul was not simple, it was likely a divine-level martial soul. Of course, it could also be the physical martial soul with eyes as its soul. Among sword martial souls, there are crescent moon swords, no double swords, 7 kill swords, and so on. But how could I not find your sword martial soul in the complete collection of martial souls? After registering the other children who awakened their martial souls, Lu Shan began to handle the registration of Wang Xian and Bibidong's martial souls. The complete collection of martial souls is equivalent to the Encyclopedia of Martial Souls, which records most of the unique characteristics of martial souls that have appeared in the past. Dean Lu, perhaps my martial soul has not been recorded in the complete collection of martial souls, can it be considered a new martial soul? Wang Xian muttered. That's right. Lu Shan closed the book and admitted Wang Xian's idea. There were more unrecorded martial souls in the sea, and the martial souls produced by the mutation of the martial souls were not without them. Can you give me a name then? Lu Shan looked at Wang Xian with fiery eyes, giving the impression of a hungry bachelor who never gave up. Just call it Zhu Xian sword, Wang Xian pondered for a moment and said. With just one thought, slay 10,000 enemies. With a sword, you can execute immortals. This is Wang Xian's wild hope for the future, hoping to use the soul of the immortal slaying sword to elevate his proficiency in the field of swordsmanship, completely master the Xianmen sword classic, and possess the combat power of the immortal slaying demon. In addition, when the martial soul of the Zhu Xian sword appears, there are many strange phenomena, and there is also an unstoppable towering sword power that cannot be stopped by gods and Buddhas. It is also appropriate to call it Zhu Xian. Zhu Xian sword. Lu Shan murmured for a moment, then wrote the 3 words Zhu Xian sword on the martial soul awakening register with his back hand. I filled in a 10 in the innate soul power level column. In fact, Wang Xian was very clear that his innate soul power was definitely not as simple as level 10. If he didn't immediately put away his martial soul, the number displayed above the awakening ball would not be just 10, but a larger number. Although in the end, he didn't know the specific level of his innate soul power. After Wang Xian and Bibidong's martial soul awakening records were registered, Lu Shan began what he believed was the right thing to do. These materials will be kept absolutely confidential to the public, and in general, they will not be pursued, so you can rest assured. Of course, top-tier geniuses like this with innate soul power need to be reported. In order to attract the attention of the main hall, if one is recruited into the martial soul hall after a certain period of time, the consequences of not entering the martial soul hall can be imagined. Otherwise, why should the martial soul hall awaken the martial soul for the people for free? These are all the means of the genius of the Guanglua soul master in the martial soul hall, and the plan to strengthen their own power. However, whether or not to report the incident depends on human factors. In short, as long as he does not speak up, the main hall of the martial soul hall will not know, and the information of the 2 will be left here forever. Unless these 2 people make a big fuss in the Soul Master realm, they will be traced here. However, at that time, whether these materials can still be found will be discussed. In a year or 2, he has the power to dispose of these useless materials, and Lu Shan is also very clear that once this kind of heavenly pride is found out by the Martial Soul Hall, it will definitely be transferred to the North City District Soul Master Academy to study, so it has no connection with their DC District Soul Master Academy. Because the main hall of the Martial Soul Hall is located in the Beiqing District, it is even more reassuring under the nose. He doesn't want such a genius to be transferred to Beiqing District and let the Soul Master Academy of Beiqing District take advantage of it. The DC District can bear the cost themselves. More importantly, he does not dislike the methods of the Martial Soul Hall, which is a genius of the Guanglua Soul Master. After all, both sides are beneficiaries. But he has always opposed the practice of strangling Soul Master genius in the cradle because he doesn't want to join the Martial Soul Hall. These things are all lessons learned from the past, they are all bloody facts, and he unfortunately participated in them, which made him very sad and regretful. After careful consideration and considering various factors, Lushan decided not to report the fact that Wang Xian and Bibi Dong had innate full soul power. Lushan pondered for a while before saying, "In a few days, it's time for the summer semester to start at the DC District Junior Soul Master College. Please allow me, as the Dean of the DC District Junior Soul Master College, to invite 2 talented soul masters to our college for study. Whether it's dormitories or scholarships, it will definitely satisfy you. At the same time, I will personally take you to hunt down suitable soul rings for you. Of course, if you want to go to other urban soul master colleges, I will also introduce you." No, there's no need for an introduction at all. Even if we don't mention the issue of innate soul power level 10, just looking at the quality of martial soul will attract competition from other colleges. But judging the quality of martial souls cannot accurately determine the level of innate soul power, so there is no need to worry. On the mainland, there are many soul masters with high soul power but average martial soul quality, as well as soul masters with low soul power and high martial soul quality. These are all uncertain factors in the awakening of martial souls. Although a soul master with an innate soul power of level 10 is not rare in 100 years, nor is it as sensational as a twin martial soul, a soul master with innate full soul power is also a true genius. He doesn't want fertilizer flowing out of the field. After all, as the dean of the college, he also has to plan for the Junior Soul Master competition in Martial Soul City in 4 years. Bibi Dong leaned against Wang Xian. The meaning was very obvious. She listened to Wang Xian's brother. "Then let's choose the DC District Junior Soul Master College, hoping that the dean can take on more responsibilities in the future," Wang Xian said with a smile. Lushan was stunned for a moment, then exclaimed with great excitement, "This is the honor of our DC District Junior Soul Master Academy. How much more does this kind of arrogance need to endure?" End of this chapter. Chapter 4. DC District Junior Soul Master Academy Collection and Recommendation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 DC District Junior Soul Master Academy, Seeking Collection, Recommendation. Brother Wang Xian, are you also a twin martial soul? Bibi Dong's pink and purple pupils were wide open, and he was directly stunned by Wang Xian's words. Surprisingly, Wang Xian's brother was also a twin martial soul. After returning home, Bibi Dong told Wang Xian the fact that he was also a twin martial soul, and Wang Xian did not conceal it. He told her that he was also a twin martial soul. Of course, upon learning of Bibidong's awakened twin martial souls, Wang Xian became even more convinced that his green plum was the Pope Bibi Dong from the original work of Douluo Continent. Compared to his previous wishful thinking that Donger was the Pope Bibi Dong of the Martial Soul Temple in the original work, the evidence is now conclusive. Well, in addition to the spirit of the immortal sword, I also awakened a true martial soul with eyes as its soul, and I called it Ling Tong. Wang Xian smiled faintly and slowly opened his eyes, with a brilliant molten gold flowing in his eyes, just like an ancient sleeping deity opening his eyes. His majesty and strength couldn't describe the terrifying oppression it brought to people. He could feel that his spiritual eyes and martial soul were extraordinary, and the accompanying abilities of the martial soul were terrifying. In addition to having excellent visual and mental abilities, there is also the ability to slow down high-speed moving objects in the field of vision. This comes with a martial soul ability, which can be considered a divine skill. The attached ability of martial souls is easy to understand, just like turtle martial souls. Without an attached soul ring, these types of martial souls can give turtle soul masters excellent defense, which is the inherent attribute of martial souls. Just like turtle martial souls are good at defense and sword and spear martial souls are good at attack. So beautiful. The first impression that Lingmu and Wuhuan give Bibi Dong is that they are beautiful, which cannot be described in words. On the mainland, although the probability of awakening one's own martial soul has reached an almost harsh level, it is not without it. It is said that the most powerful physical martial soul masters on the mainland today have already entered the legendary level of title Douluo. That is a giant who is truly capable of controlling the life and death of a force. Rumor has it that a few years ago, the current pope of the Martial Soul Hall, Xian Douluo, competed with him and ultimately ended in a tie. The Martial Soul City is known as the Holy City of Martial Souls, and some news from the Soul Master realm is not considered secret here. It is even more common for these messages to circulate in the alleys of Martial Soul City. Brother Wang Xian, it seems that we are all the owners of twin martial souls, said Bibidong excitedly, fascinated by Wang Xian's melting golden pupils. Yes, to be precise, we have all awakened two terrifying martial souls. And this also means that we need to be more careful in the future. Unless absolutely necessary, we must not reveal the secret of being a twin martial soul. Wang Xian rubbed Bibidong's head and said slowly. Twin martial souls are synonymous with absolute genius, which can be said to be rare in 100 years. Even if we look at the entire continent, they are also quite explosive beings. If the news of their twin martial souls is spread, various dangers will come one after another, especially since almost every force holds the idea that they cannot obtain what others cannot expect, and uses various ruthless methods to slay those Jianjiao in the cradle. Even the Martial Soul Hall, which has become strong in recent years due to the failure of the Super Douluo Qingmei to advance to level 99, has done many such activities in secret. Of course, the Haotian sect, which claims to be the world's first sect, is not a good type. Nowadays, the thriving Martial Soul Hall and the Haotian sect, who claim to be the #1 sect in the world, are engaged in open and covert battles. The Soul Master realm is full of unpredictable waves, and major forces are even more wary of the hostile Tianjiao. This is why Wang Xian is so cautious. He is at least a traveler who has traveled twice, and he still has a sense of crisis. Moreover, before he grows up, it is best to only use the immortal sword and martial soul, rather than the soul eye of the body martial soul. The scarcity and powerful nature of the ontology martial soul destined it to be a highly anticipated martial soul. If it boldly uses its spirit pupil martial soul, it is unlikely to attract unnecessary attention or even be targeted. Compared to Ling Tong martial souls, Zhu Xian sword, a non-physical martial soul, occupies the vast majority on the mainland and relatively does not receive much attention. Only by integrating with the public and becoming a member of the ordinary, can one avoid attracting mosquitoes and insects due to their personality. Bibidong held Wang Xian's arm and nodded obediently. Wang Xian gently pinched Bibidong's delicate face, his eyes filled with indulgence. Now, not only has he awakened two powerful martial souls, but his innate soul power has also exceeded level 10. He also possesses the 5 highest martial arts that he signed in with in his previous life, and Qingmei is Bibidong. The highest martial arts in the world of martial arts can rival or even surpass the highest secret technique or top-level soul skill of Douluo, the mystical sewer. With the 5 highest martial arts, he has a promising future. In this life, no matter what, he must stand at the height of the strong mainland and see the unique scenery of this world. As night gradually fell and the full moon hung high, Wang Xian and Bibidong, who had finished their dinner, went back to their respective rooms to rest. The next day, the genius shone brightly. Donger, why did you run into my bed again? Wang Xian looked at Bibidong, who was curled up in his arms like a cute little cat, and felt somewhat helpless. Can't you sleep comfortably alone? Bibidong playfully rubbed his eyes, then playfully placed his hands and feet on Wang Xian's body. The soft hair that fell on Wang Xian's neck made him itch. The two of them frolicked in bed for a while before getting up. Today, as usual, they finished washing up and had breakfast before starting their respective morning exercises. Due to the awakening of the martial soul, there is soul power flowing in the body. Now, practicing the 9 yang holy divine skill is much faster. Every time a small zhou celestial body is moved, the soul power will increase by a little bit. Although it can only move for 1 or 2 small zhou days in the morning, this visible increase in soul power is much faster than what the dark wants. After practicing the 9-yang holy divine skill for a while, Xian jumped off the roof and practiced swordsmanship with Bibi Dong. Although he had already reached a high level in his previous life by practicing the Xianmen sword classic, his body's muscle memory of swordsmanship moves was still unexplored when using soul power. In short, he still needs to practice. However, with his understanding of the Xianmen sword classic in his previous life, and now that he has awakened the spirit of the divine sword, he has gained a profound understanding and experience of swordsmanship. I believe that in no time, his swordsmanship will reach the height of his previous life, even further, and it is not impossible to completely master this skill. This is a technique that may touch upon gods and immortals. For the other 3 martial arts, Xian has not yet started practicing them. Firstly, those 3 martial arts require a certain amount of soul power to support cultivation. Secondly, he is afraid of greed. For now, practicing the 9-yang holy divine arts and the Xianmen sword classic is enough. After fully adapting to the use of soul power and using sword moves, consider it again. Dong is intelligent and hardworking, and her swordsmanship is already considered beginner. Dong, it's time for breakfast. After dinner, we should go to the college to report. Xian brought the prepared food to the wooden table and shouted at the door. Bibi Dong, who was practicing swordsmanship, threw his sword fiercely, and the wooden sword, like a detached arrow, thrust into the wooden stake in the corner of the yard with a thud. Ah, brother Xian, it smells so good. What dish did you make? Bibi Dong, who had finished washing his hands, ran into the room bouncing and smelling the smell, and his appetite had already been adjusted. I bought a soft bone rabbit from the street yesterday and made a spicy roasted rabbit. I'm going to the college today, so I'll give it a treat. Xian presented the rice and wolfed it down with Bibi Dong. After finishing their meal and tidying up, Xian and Bibi Dong went to the Junior Soul Master Academy in DC District. The college is located on the outskirts of the urban area, not far from Xian and his family. But it's a boarding college. Although it is a Junior Soul Master Academy, the buildings here are very luxurious, at least compared to the residential areas in the suburbs. Wudong trees were planted on both sides of the road leading to the college. The rising sun swept over the branches and leaves of wudong trees and gently printed light and shadow on the ground. Today is the start of the summer semester, so there are quite a few people coming and going. Xian held Bibidong's hand and moved through the crowd until they saw Lu Shan standing at the school gate before slowing down. On the plaque at the entrance of the college, there are several gilded characters written on the DC District Junior Soul Master College. Many new students who come to report on their enrollment for the first time are brought by adults, while those in the higher grades almost all report on their own, some in groups of 3 or 2, and some come and go alone in a hurry. Finally waiting for the 2 little ones. Looking at the entrance of the college, Lu Shan finally saw the figures of Xian and Bibi Dong, and his eyes lit up, so much so that he didn't pay much attention to the Soul Master parents who greeted him nearby. Dean Lu, we're here. Before reaching Lu Shan, Bibi Dong waved at him. Bibi Dong, Xian, it's nice to see you again. Lu Shan smiled and had an excellent attitude. This scene has been seen by many senior students and some Soul Master parents who brought their children to report, and many people are speculating which genius came to study at the DC District Junior Soul Master College. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Collection and Recommendation for Enrollment. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Enrollment, Seeking Collection, Recommendation. In addition to free tuition fees and 50 golden soul coin scholarships for each semester, the college will also arrange independent student dormitories for you. Here are your apartment and class numbers. If you have anything to do, just come here and find me. I will help you handle it. Lu Shan handed the door numbers and class numbers of 2 independent student apartments to Xian and Bibi Dong, and said kindly. In order to attract talented soul masters, colleges sponsored by the Martial Soul Hall do not care about this amount of money. 50 gold soul coins are not considered a big deal in the expensive martial soul city. Good Dean. Wang Xian and Bibi Dong both politely took the things from Lu Shan's hand. Judging from the brand, it seems that the independent apartment is not just owned by them. Brother Wang Xian, it seems that our apartment is not in the same building. Bibi Dong looked at the house number in her hand and felt a little disappointed. If that's the case, she won't be able to sleep with Brother Wang Xian in the future. The male and female apartments in the college are both independent and separated by a cafeteria. Even if she wants to see him at night, she has to call him out instead of looking through the window. Can you still want to sleep with me? Wang Xian lightly flicked a steel jump on Bibi's head. Bibi Dong stuck out his tongue, then puffed up his face, his big pink and purple eyes twirling around, as if he was playing some little abacus. Donger, let's go to the classroom first and return to the dormitory later. After all the fuss in the dean's office, the newly registered students gathered in the class. The college is a bit big. When the two of them found a class, the class was already full, with only a few empty seats in the front row. The teacher is a young female teacher with a beautiful appearance. Her thick purple hair is wavy and curly, and her curvaceous figure is vividly outlined by the black outfit. Her thighs are long and straight, and her chest is broad. At this moment, she is talking on the podium. Wang Xian withdrew his gaze and gently knocked on the door. Behind him, Bibi Dong tilted his head to look into the class like a curious baby. Come on in. The female teacher waved at Wang Xian and Bibi Dong and said with a smile. It seems that the genius siblings mentioned by the dean are just the two of them. Teacher, this is our admission certificate. Wang Xian politely handed the admission certificate prepared by Lu Shan to the female teacher. My name is Su Ziyue, and I will be your homeroom teacher from now on. Let me introduce myself to everyone. Su Ziyue, who received the certificate, did not open it and warmly asked Wang Xian and Bibi Dong to introduce herself to the students in the class. Just now, the whole class introduced themselves, and they are no exception. Hello everyone, my name is Wang Xian, and I am the martial soul executing immortal sword. I hope to have a pleasant time with everyone in the future. When introducing himself, Wang Xian's gaze slowly swept over all his classmates and said with a faint smile. Hello everyone, my name is Bibi Dong, my martial soul is the Death Spider Emperor. Please take good care of me in the future. Bibi Dong's soft and thick hair was flowing freely, and her large purple and pink eyes seemed to be filled with mist. Her face was delicate and beautiful, and although she was still a little girl, she was already very charming. The Death Spider Emperor Martial Soul. Is it the Death Spider Emperor Martial Soul I was thinking of? Surprisingly, someone could awaken such a terrifying martial soul. It seems that Bai Bidong's talent is very high. The Zhu Xian sword sounds very impressive, it must also be an amazing martial soul. Although all the people sitting were 6-year-old children, there were some classmates who knew about spider martial souls, which immediately caused everyone to exclaim in surprise. With his almost perfect appearance and impressive martial soul, Bibi Dong caused a small sensation. Of course, although everyone is not very familiar with Wang Xian's spirit of the immortal sword, his outstanding appearance that can be described as beautiful has also attracted many girls in the class to shine brightly. Okay, find a seat to sit down, Su Ziyue said with a smile. Wang Xian and Bibi Dong picked the empty seat in the front row and sat down, ignoring the curious gazes behind them. The first class of school was very easy, and Su Ziyue just said some things to pay attention to before class ended. After class, Wang Xian and Bibi Dong went for lunch before going to various student dormitories separately. Wang Xian's independent apartment is on the top floor of No. 1 student apartment. Standing in front of the big French window, you can have a panoramic view of the lake and playground located in the central area of the college. The scenery is very good. Perhaps due to the need for space for soul masters to practice, the room looks quite spacious. Apart from the independent bathroom on the bed, there is also a wider space for cultivation, which is commendable. At least he doesn't need to go out to practice boxing and swordsmanship in the future, which effectively protects his privacy. The decoration of the room is minimalist, simple and atmospheric. The floor is made of dark brown wooden boards, and there is a large floor-to-ceiling mirror in the cultivation area of the room, which looks a bit like a mirror in a dance room. This configuration is already very good. Is this the treatment of a genius? It seems that the college is also very thoughtful in other aspects. Xian touched the table, floor, mirror and French window, and found no dust. It was clean, and the bed had been prepared with brand new bedding and washing equipment. The college offers free tuition, scholarships, and such well-equipped apartments. It seems that the dean has placed great expectations on us for the martial soul competition in the 4 major urban areas. The Junior Soul Master Martial Soul competition in the 4 major urban areas of Wuhuan City is currently the most grand college competition in Wuhuan City. Many Tianjiao talents have made a name for themselves in this competition and have been admitted to various senior soul master colleges in advance. Some have even received direct attention from the Wuhuan Hall, with the hope of entering the Wuhuan Hall in the future. It's just that this competition is held every 4 years, and the time span is a bit long, but it also makes people more hopeful. The last time it was held was a few months ago. At that time, due to the participation of the core descendants of the 1,000 families of the Martial Soul Hall, the current Pope Qiandaoliu of the Martial Soul Hall personally arrived at the scene, making this competition unprecedentedly grand and well-known to the people of the Martial Soul City. Undoubtedly, the North City District Junior Soul Master College team led by the core heirs of 1,000 families won the championship with a crushing posture, while the DC District continued to play steadily and became the atmosphere group for the competition participants, last to last in the competition. After the competition, the Martial Soul Hall decided that the top 3 contestants in each future competition could receive special funding from the Martial Soul Hall to support the teaching and training of the college. The higher the ranking, the more funding will be allocated. And the lower colleges also have other subsidies, so as long as they do not rank at the end of the competition, they can receive corresponding subsidies. This has also linked the competition with the honors of each college, although it used to be, it has become particularly prominent since then. Otherwise, the major colleges in the Martial Soul City would not compete for talented martial soul awakeners. It seems that the Soul Master competition in 4 years' time must bring something out, otherwise enjoying the college's preferential treatment in vain would be a bit disappointing. Of course, what he hopes more is to be admitted to the Advanced Soul Master College in advance, and directly cross the Junior College for the next 2 years to enter the Advanced Soul Master College for further studies. He does not want to stay for too long in the Junior Soul Master College at the novice village level. The higher the level of Soul Master Academy, the faster his strength can increase. Sometimes, the impact of the environment on people cannot be ignored. His journey is not just in the Soul Master Academy. After a brief moment of contemplation, Xian began to cultivate the 9-yang holy divine skill. After these days of cultivation and exploration, his cultivation has gradually reached a state of excellence. In addition to having high expectations for the soul of the immortal sword, he also has great expectations for the second martial soul, the Ling Tong martial soul. As the Ling Tong martial soul is the essence of the martial soul based on the eyes, his vision and extraordinary spiritual power far exceed that of ordinary people. Ling Tong martial soul belongs to the spiritual type of martial soul in the ontology of martial soul. The spiritual type of martial soul endows soul skills mainly into 3 types. Object control type, spiritual attack type, and auxiliary type soul skills. As long as the soul ring is appropriately endowed in the future, all 3 types of Ling Tong martial soul can be combined. In addition, if his Zhu Xian sword martial soul is really a divine level martial soul as he guessed, then according to the innate soul power of the divine level angel martial soul at level 20, his innate soul power is likely to be also at level 20, which makes his starting and later cultivation speed much faster than that of soul masters of the same age. Overall, both of his martial souls are excellent, and his innate soul power exceeds level 10. Although the specific level of soul power is unclear, he has already won too much at the starting line with such an opening. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Martial Soul General Knowledge Collection Recommendation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Martial Soul General Knowledge, Seeking Collection Recommendation. When the first ray of sunshine in the morning refracted in from the French window, Wang Xian's biological clock also rang when he went to rest after midnight. Get up and wash up, then practice in the dormitory for a while before going out to class. As soon as she left the entrance of the student apartment, Wang Xian saw Bibidong carrying something not far away, occasionally looking towards him. When she noticed Wang Xian's figure, she ran up happily. "Brother Wang Xian, you definitely didn't have breakfast. Ah, this is for you." Bibidong handed the things in his hand to Wang Xian. "It smells good, Donger. You won't be waiting for me here all the time, will you?" Wang Xian took breakfast and asked. "This scene, why is it a bit like the sweet one?" "No way, I just arrived and then you came out." "Humph, who would have told you that I came long ago because I missed you?" After this episode, Wang Xian and Bibidong went to the classroom together. The first class in the morning is the Martial Soul Knowledge course taught by the homeroom teacher Su Ziyue. As is well known, martial souls can be roughly divided into two categories. One is the weapon soul that uses various instruments as the martial soul, and the other is the beast martial soul that uses animals and plants as the martial soul. Most of the martial souls we awaken have inherited from one of our parents. However, there are some rare variations in martial souls among them. Wang Xian, can you give an example? Su Ziyue, who was giving a lecture, turned over and asked as she looked at Wang Xian. Wang Xian was stunned for a moment, and suddenly, a flash of spiritual light said, "Did the Tyrannosaurus Rex martial soul transform into a pig martial soul?" Well, this is a good example. In addition to inheritance, martial souls also have variability. A very small number of soul masters' martial souls will undergo mutation when awakening their martial souls, transforming into other martial souls. Su Ziyue continued to explain the classification of martial souls. After finishing the specific classification of martial souls, she began to popularize the level system of soul masters in detail. Soul master levels are divided into Soul Master, Great Soul Master, Soul Zun, Soul Sect, Soul King, Soul Emperor, Soul Saint, Soul Douluo, and Title Douluo. Each level is divided into 10 levels. When the soul power of each level is fully cultivated, one needs to obtain a soul ring to break through the barrier and enter the next level. So, another question arises. What kind of soul ring can fit our martial soul? Su Ziyue looked around the attentively listening classmates in the class, took a sip of water, and continued. We have no way of tracing the true existence of martial souls, but after a long history of soul masters' development, predecessors have come to some valuable conclusions through continuous exploration and practice. As long as the soul beast's innate soul skills meet the needs of soul masters and the age is appropriate, we can absorb the soul rings of such soul beasts. Su Ziyue explained in a very organized manner, from the approximate number of years a soul master can absorb soul rings at different stages to the formation of optimal configurations by absorbing various types of soul rings. Wang Xian nodded. It turned out that these martial soul knowledge courses had already been available, and could be learned at the Junior Soul Master Academy. It seemed that it was not really a conclusion drawn by a person who had been stagnant below the Soul Master for life. It was just a plagiarism of the conclusions of previous scholars, combined with his own unrealistic imagination without practical results, and he proposed a top 10 theory of selling dog meat by hanging sheep's head. Well, the anus is a bit rough. This class seemed to have covered a lot, but in reality, it wasn't much. Soon, the class ended. Wang Xian, Bibidong, you two come out with me for a while. After class, the homeroom teacher Su Ziyue called Wang Xian and Bibidong out. This Saturday, the dean will personally take you to the Star Forest to obtain soul rings. Prepare yourself, Su Ziyue said gently, teasing her purple hair like a waterfall. The dean had told her earlier that Wang Xian and Bibidong were both rare soul master geniuses. Let her pay attention to them. Although she didn't know the specific amount of their innate soul power, the dean wanted to personally take them to the Star Forest to hunt for soul rings, and the significance was very obvious. The talents of these two newcomers were absolutely amazing. The dean hasn't taken his students to Star Forest to hunt soul rings for many years. Okay, Teacher Su, Wang Xian and Bibidong spoke in unison. When Wang Xian and Bibidong returned to the class and sat down again, the second class of the morning began. The person who came to class was still a young female teacher, with thick golden hair that accentuated her delicate oval-shaped face. She had a plump figure and long, slender, and fair legs that were very eye-catching. Wang Xian glanced at the goose-egg female teacher a few times and couldn't help but mutter to himself, "Are there so many female teachers in the college? And are their looks so high?" Bibidong was enraged when she saw Wang Xian constantly looking at the teacher. She looked at the female teacher and then straightened her chest at the airport, feeling deflated. Apart from her delicate and beautiful little face and pink and purple big eyes, she couldn't compare anything else. In the future, Dong'er will make brother Wang Xian unable to walk. Let me introduce myself. My name is Lin Shanshan, the homeroom teacher of Class 3. I will teach you the history of your soul master. Lin Shanshan glanced at all the classmates and finally, intentionally or unintentionally, swept back and forth between Wang Xian and Bibidong. The course of Soul Master History, although not more important than practical training courses and martial soul cognition courses, is also a compulsory course for freshmen, which can deepen their understanding of soul masters. After briefly chatting with her classmates, Lin Shanshan brought the topic of the conversation to the class. To understand the development history of soul masters, it is necessary to understand the current situation on the mainland. We all know that the three major sects on the mainland are the Haotian sect, the owner of the top-level weapon and martial soul, the Haotian sect, the owner of the top-level beast and martial soul, the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Rex clan, and the top-level auxiliary soul master, the Seven Treasures and Glass sect. These three sects are interconnected and have been sitting steadily in the three sects for hundreds of years, awe-inspiring all forces on the mainland. Even the two empires of Star Luo and Tiando dare not compete with them. However, in the past 2 years, another major force has emerged on the mainland. The Martial Soul Hall. More precisely, the Martial Soul Hall used to be endlessly glorious, but later declined, and now it has become powerful again due to 1,000 streams. After stepping into the Super Douluo level with an invincible posture under the crown of the Pope Qiandao Lu in the Martial Soul Hall, the accumulated foundation of thousands of years in the Martial Soul Hall once again erupted, and in a very short period of time, there was a faint trend of competing with the world's first sect, Haotian sect. Additionally, I would like to add that there is one of the most mysterious and terrifying sects on the mainland today that you need to know, so as not to be blind to others' mountain gates in the future. The sect I want to talk about is the Ontology sect. So far, we only know that this sect is entirely composed of Ontology martial soul masters, whose sect leader, Longyan Mountain Coronation, is on par with the current Martial Soul Hall Pope Qiandao Lu and Haotian sect Tang Chen. We don't know anything about the rest, even the sect address. After Lin Shanshan's explanation, Wang Xian roughly understood the current situation on the mainland. Today, the world is divided into 8 parts, with the upper 3 sects accounting for 3 parts, the 2 empires accounting for 2 parts, the mysterious Ontology sect accounting for 1 part, the Martial Soul Hall accounting for 1 part, and other idle forces accounting for 1 part. As for the lower 4 sect, it is estimated that they have not yet caught the attention of these major powers. The Iron Striked Upper 3 sect and the Flowing Lower 4 sect describe the lower 4 sect. Compared to the practical courses in the afternoon, those 2 courses in the morning seem very boring. The teacher who is taking practical courses is a middle-aged male teacher, with a strong physique, a large arm, a round waist, and a serious face. Li Tan, Level 47 War Soul Sect, Martial Soul Rampaging Ape. In the future, everyone can call me Teacher Li. Soul Sect, this is an existence that many ordinary soul masters look up to. After introducing himself, Li Tan began to explain the importance of practical courses and some issues that need to be noted in class. Practical combat is the top priority for soul masters, as it sometimes affects their own lives. When faced with a desperate battle, the importance of practical combat becomes apparent. The core of practical combat lies in soul fighting, therefore, the essence of this course is to teach soul fighting skills, including soul fighting tactics and psychological games. The best way to truly appreciate practical combat skills and quickly improve one's combat experience is to fight soul beasts, rather than fighting soul masters with limited rules. Therefore, at the end of this class, Xian made a practical plan for himself. During the holiday, he and Dong can go to the outskirts of the Star Forest to find some weaker soul beasts for practical training. Of course, the entire plan emphasizes acting within one's capabilities, rather than taking the initiative. I don't want to be alone. Please leave a comment and let me know if Kong is still alive. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Starry Forest, Bloodthirsty Spider seeks collection recommendation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Starry Forest, Bloodthirsty Spider, recommended for collection. Time passed day by day, and soon it was the weekend. The sky outside the window was still gray, and the young man inside wielded his sword. Every time he wielded his sword, he would make a whistling sound of breaking through the air. As the young man danced his sword faster and faster, the sound of wheezing kept ringing in the room. The sword of the condor was like a brilliant stream of light surging in the dim room. Ha, that's great. I've fully adapted to using my soul power to practice swordsmanship now. The next step is to continuously improve my soul power, gradually picking up the understanding and experience of swordsmanship that was engraved in my mind in the past. I believe that in no time, my swordsmanship should be able to reach the level of my past life, and even further. Xian put away his Xianzhu sword and whispered softly. His current process of practicing swordsmanship is like some top students reviewing homework that has not been reviewed for a long time. There is no need to start from scratch and practice steadily step by step. With a little time, he can reach the peak of the beginning again, and even make new breakthroughs due to new understanding. After resting for a while, Xian stood up again, ready to start the second cultivation. After warming up with swordsmanship, it's time to start practicing Yin-Yang Kongming Fist now. Based on his memory of the Yin-Yang Kongming Fist technique in his mind, he began practicing the techniques of Kongming Fist without mobilizing his soul power. Yin-Yang Kongming Fist is one of the 5 highest martial arts that he signed up for in the martial arts world in his previous life. It is the highest martial arts in martial arts. In addition to having great body refining effects, after entering the martial arts world, every move can unleash power such as soul skills. If truly cultivated, its power cannot be underestimated. The highest level of martial arts is to unleash a terrifying force with just a flick of a hair. Every move can be as fierce as the collapse of Tsangshan Mountain or as gentle as the water of Chunjiang River. It combines strength and softness, harmonizing yin and yang, and has been a natural principle since ancient times. At present, Xian is definitely unable to achieve that level. Even if he completes this set of punches completely without using soul power, it will be difficult for him. Because every move and technique of Kongming Fist consumes too much physical and mental energy, his current physical fitness cannot support him to complete this feat to the standard. At first, his punches were as swift as a big bug pouncing on him, and sometimes as gentle as falling flowers and flowing water. But after only a few moves, his face turned pale and he lost all his strength. It seems that exercising every day can't relax. Wang Xian limped up from the ground and used the 9-yang holy divine skill to restore the energy consumption and soul power cultivation he had just experienced. Like in a previous life, the cultivation effect of the holy divine skill under extreme emptiness has become more obvious, and the energy consumed just now is also recovering. Although the increase in soul power from running a small Zhou Tian is only a slight increase compared to usual, it is already astonishing because he only gains a slight increase from running a small Zhou Tian, which is double the happiness. Of course, seeing Wang Xian's handsome appearance soaked in sweat, one can tell that the whole process was not just about happiness. First, practice the sword technique to warm up, then be squeezed dry by the yin-yang empty bright fist, and then use the 9-yang holy divine skill to restore energy and cultivate soul power. This is a good combination cultivation mode. When the warm morning sunshine slipped into the room, Wang Xian got up to take a shower and wash up instead of continuing with the next exercise. At present, practicing swordsmanship and practicing Qingmei fist have almost drained his energy. The other two supreme martial arts are definitely impossible to practice, and his energy is limited. Being greedy can actually affect the normal cultivation rhythm. Today he is going to the Star Forest to hunt for soul rings, and he needs to make small preparations. After organizing, Wang Xian went out to meet with Bibidong, and then went to the dean's office to meet with the dean. When everything was ready, the 3-person squad led by the 62-level War Soul Emperor advanced towards the Star Forest. As the carriage crossed the plain, they finally arrived at the Star Forest. The dark starry forest is like an bottomless abyss, waiting for curious creatures to explore endlessly on the brink of death. The starry forest is very quiet, so quiet that you can even hear the ticking sound of dew falling from the branches and leaves in the early morning. Light shines from the lush jungle canopy, leaving speckled marks on the dim ground. The roar of soul beasts occasionally came from deep in the forest, and rustling sounds could be heard in the grass. The Star Forest is divided into a core area, a mixed area, and a peripheral area. The core area is mainly composed of rare and terrifying 100,000-year-old soul beasts, the mixed area is mainly composed of 10,000-year-old soul beasts, and the peripheral area is mainly composed of soul beasts below 10,000 years old. The century-level soul beasts we need to obtain this time are mainly distributed in the outermost part, so we will hardly encounter millennium-level soul beasts. After finishing these words, Lu Shan continued to walk forward with Wang Xian and Bibidong. He originally planned to let these two little guys hunt the soul beasts themselves and protect them in secret, but he was also afraid of any mishap. After careful consideration, he decided to take action himself. A few rays of light slipped in from the branches and leaves, and the broken dry firewood on the ground made a crisp sound. Suddenly, there was a sound in the nearby grass, and then a soft-skinned and charming rabbit from several grades jumped out from there. Seeing the unfriendly gazes of everyone, it ran away in a gloomy manner. The three of them continued to move forward and finally encountered a group of soul beasts that matched Bibidong's martial soul in the deep forest. A group of bloodthirsty magic spiders. The bloodthirsty spider is a social-type soul beast. The spider web spit out by a 400 to 500-year-old bloodthirsty spider is not only tough, but also contains extremely strong toxins. It can be considered a top-level soul beast among spider-type soul beasts. How about that? Bibidong, do you have any ideas? Lu Shan looked at a 400-year-old bloodthirsty spider deep in the dense forest and asked Bibidong. Dean, please. The bloodthirsty spider is very suitable for her martial soul. Once she obtains the innate soul skills of the bloodthirsty spider, her strength will definitely be greatly improved. With a flash of his figure, Lu Shan disappeared from their sight. When he reappeared, he was holding a dying bloodthirsty spider that had been around for over 400 years. Lu Shan is a soul emperor of over 60 levels. Dealing with a 1,000-year-old soul beast is as simple as drinking water, let alone a 100-year-old soul beast. I don't know what kind of soul skill it will give me, Bibidong took up his sword and ended this bloodthirsty spider that had been around for over 400 years. As the bloodthirsty spider was slain, the yellow soul ring slowly rose. Bibidong sat down excitedly, using his soul power to pull the soul ring and prepare to absorb it as her first soul ring. In the soul ring emitting a yellow halo, a bloodthirsty spider with blood-red eyes can be vaguely seen struggling and hissing, as if to condense its true form and fight against Bibidong. But when a massive death spider emperor appeared behind Bibidong, the bloodthirsty spider was as submissive as a lowly subordinate who presented himself to the king, daring not to make any mistakes. Is this the Death Spider Emperor? Undoubtedly the Emperor of Magic Spiders, the Death Spider Emperor revered by the King of Insects. Lu Xian looked at the bloodthirsty spider phantom in the yellow soul ring, who was obedient, and couldn't help but marvel at the terrifying death of the Spider Emperor's martial soul. Surprisingly, it directly suppressed the bloodthirsty spider. Bibidong absorbed the soul ring very smoothly and quickly absorbed her first soul ring in life. "How are you, Donger?" Wang Xian looked at Bibidong eagerly and asked. "My soul power went directly from level 10 to level 13. Bibidong excitedly hugged Wang Xian's arm and continued, "I call this soul skill the magic spider web, which can release 4 bloodthirsty spider webs that are 2 meters long and wide. The bloodthirsty spider web is stained with the toxin of the bloodthirsty spider, although not much, it is enough to make people afraid. And as my soul power level increases, the number and size of bloodthirsty spider webs released will also increase, and the toxins will be stronger and more terrifying, just like a web of heaven and earth, with nowhere to hide." So she added a web after the word magic spider. A web stained with bloodthirsty magic spiders. As the soul power level increases, the number and size of magic spider webs will also increase. Wang Xian gasped for air. This soul skill seems a bit outrageous. Whether it's single-player or team combat, this soul skill can have unexpected effects, especially when there are toxins on the bloodthirsty spider web, which can make any opponent feel a headache. Signed contract, available for investment, waiting for further discussion. Don't make me stand alone, the baby will be scared, crying. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Fury Sword Red Dragon seeks collection and follow-up reading. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Fury Sword Red Dragon, seeking collection and follow-up reading. Lu Xian was also somewhat shocked. Although Bibidong's soul skill may not be very powerful in intuitive terms, it often has the possibility of transforming decay into magic. What puzzled Lu Xian was how her soul power suddenly increased by 3 levels. She only absorbed a century-old level soul ring. Lu Xian, who was puzzled by his thoughts, could only summon Wang Xian and Bibidong to continue on the road and search for his first soul ring for Wang Xian. If he knew that Bibidong was a twin martial soul, and both were imperial-like martial souls among spider-like martial souls, then he could figure out why. Due to the fact that both martial souls are top-level martial souls, Bibidong's innate soul power is higher than level 10. Therefore, after absorbing the first soul ring, these accumulated soul powers are fully displayed. With the increase in soul power after absorbing the soul ring, her soul power level directly reaches level 13. Wang Xian was not surprised by Donger's soul power level. What concerns him even more at the moment is whether one of his 2 martial souls is really a divine level martial soul. If so, his innate soul power is probably level 20. I don't want to do so much anymore. After obtaining the first soul ring, I will know. Wang Xian muttered to himself in his heart, unable to help but feel excited. It is not easy to find soul beasts that can match the soul rings of Wang Xian's Zhu Xian sword martial arts. The 3 of them searched for a long time outside the Star Do forest but still couldn't find a suitable one. With the escort of the Soul Emperor level Lu Xian, their search efficiency is still very high, and they soon finished searching an area. Through the dense forest, the 3 of them arrived at a bare area. In the center of this area, there were several undulating mountains, and the top of the mountain occasionally emitted thick black smoke, which was quite extraordinary. The temperature in this area seems to be much higher. Is it a soul beast with fire attributes that lives here? Murmured Bibidong. As soon as they stepped out of the forest, they felt a heat wave, especially as it gradually intensified as they delved deeper into the area. Ong! Roar! Dong dong! As soon as Bibidong finished speaking, there were several roars and roars of soul beasts coming from the bare mountains, which shook their eardrums. This sound. Lu Xian looked at the several mountains in the distance with a lively expression, and thought to himself that the sound was like the sound of a raging sword, a red dragon. If it were really the angry flame sword red dragon, perhaps Wang Xian's first soul ring would have landed. Angry flame sword red dragon, also known as flame red sword dragon, is a fire attribute sword dragon with dragon bloodline. Among soul beasts of the same level, angry flame sword red dragon is a top-level existence. What makes the Fury Sword Red Dragon one of the top soul beasts is not because it possesses dragon bloodline, nor because it can spray blazing flames, but because of its innate soul skill that makes all soul masters tremble with fear. Flame Dragon Fury. This innate soul skill allows the Fury Sword Red Dragon to spray a terrifying red flame from its body. Its single-round killing power ranks among the top among all soul beasts, making it a leader in the field of attack and killing. So much so that the century-old angry flame sword red dragon has the qualification to fight against ordinary thousand-year soul beasts. Let's go over and take a look. Maybe your first soul ring has landed. Lu Xian said excitedly as he looked at Wang Xian. Under the leadership of Lu Xian, the three of them quickly reached one of the giant mountains. This area still belongs to the outskirts of the Star Forest, and the cultivation years of soul beasts are still below 1,000 years. Even rare soul beasts at the millennium level are not high. Therefore, as the Soul Emperor, Lu Xian does not need to worry about anything. A nearly 500-year-old angry flame sword red dragon and a 1,200-year-old wild mountain fire snake. In the valley near the mountain, two soul beasts seemed to be fighting fiercely for territorial ownership, and the terrifying flames scorched the surrounding rock walls to a pitch black. Even if they are far apart, all three of them can feel a hint of warmth. Angry flame sword red dragon has a slender and massive body, with fiery red dragon scales floating in flames and thick fangs, which are extremely terrifying. Although the level of the wild mountain fire snake is significantly lower than that of the angry flame sword red dragon, at least it is also a millennium-level soul beast, and its strength should not be underestimated. At this moment, those two statues are already covered in bruises, and the battle has entered a white heat. Every powerful attack that follows will become their fatal blow towards the underworld. Very good. The cultivation period of the angry flame sword red dragon has not yet exceeded 500 years, and there is hope of absorption. How about it, Wang Xian? Lu Xian looked at Wang Xian with a fiery expression, seeking his opinion. According to the physical endurance limit of a soul master, the absorption limit of the first soul ring of a soul master is that of an ordinary soul beast with a cultivation period of about 440 years. However, for top-level soul beasts like the flame sword red dragon, absorbing their soul rings is a great test for the soul master. If absorption fails, it will cause irreversible trauma, and it is also a nearly 500-year flame sword red dragon. Forget it, let's go find other suitable soul beasts. The risk of absorbing that angry flame sword red dragon soul ring is too great, it's not worth the loss. Lu Xian calmed down, shook his head and said again. The rarity of soul beasts like angry flame sword and red dragon made even the Dean lose his composure and lack of consideration in excitement. Dean, I want to give it a try. Wang Xian stared intently at the nearly 500-year-old angry flame sword red dragon in the distance. Risk and reward coexist. Although the risk of absorbing this fury sword red dragon is higher, if it can be successfully absorbed, the soul power and physical nourishment of the absorbed soul ring will be considerable, and this soul skill will become one of his life-saving skills for the next period of time. A soul skill that ranks among the top in terms of killing power among all soul beasts. Flame Dragon Fury. Moreover, he has been exercising for the past 2 years, and his physical strength has already surpassed that of his peers. In addition, he is already the owner of the twin martial souls, and his physique is far beyond that of ordinary people. With the assistance of the 9 Yang Holy Divine skill to absorb soul rings, he is still very confident in absorbing the soul rings of the Flame Sword Red Dragon. His strength is still very weak, and his cultivation methods cannot be easily demonstrated. He must seize any opportunity to improve his strength. Are you sure? Lu Shan looked at Wang Xian's resolute expression and worried. If absorption fails, the consequences will be unimaginable. Dean, please trust me. Brother Wang Xian, why don't we switch to a soul beast? Excuse me, Dean. Despite Lu Shan and Dong Er's strong persuasion, Wang Xian still did not change his mind. The soul ring of the Flame Sword Red Dragon should not be missed. Ah, good. If there is any discomfort during absorption, make sure to stop immediately. After speaking these words, Lu Shan released his mountain-carving martial soul and attacked the furious Flame Sword Red Dragon, which was fighting against each other in the distance, like a sword departing from the string. Donger, believe me, it's possible. Wang Xian looked at Bibidong, who was full of worries, pinched her smooth face and said softly. Bibidong nodded, worried still lingering in his eyes. In no time, Lu Shan finished dealing with the battlefield. The angry Flame Sword Red Dragon that Wang Xian wanted had been severely damaged and was on the brink of death, while the fire snake from the wild mountain ran away, leaving Lu Shan unattended. After Wang Xian completely killed the Flame Sword Red Dragon, the yellow soul ring that had been around for nearly 500 years slowly rose. In the enchanting yellow halo, it was as if one could see a fearsome Flame Sword Red Dragon roaring upwards, as if it was about to tear apart the yellow soul ring. Be careful and cautious. Seeing Wang Xian sitting down, Lu Shan still remembered to be vigilant. Brother Wang Xian. Bibidong hesitated to speak, and his eyes were filled with worry. Donger, don't worry, I can do it. After saying these words, Wang Xian closed his eyes, calmed his mind, and used his inner soul power to pull the soul ring. At the moment when soul power touched the soul ring, a burning sensation swept through Wang Xian's body, causing unbearable pain and cold sweat. In the hazy mist, he saw a terrifying fiery sword, a red dragon, soaring and hovering between heaven and earth. The terrifying flames burned through the space, and the fiery red bone sword, like a dragon, constantly pounded as it roared, trying to escape being absorbed and bound. In the next moment, an ancient sword with a silver light all over its body suddenly appeared, and a terrifying sword momentum swept open. The soaring sword's intent was like a cold light, like the fragrance passing by in the dark night, instantly killing the angry Flame Sword Red Dragon. Single player size pants, end of this chapter. Chapter 9. The Wrath of the Flame Dragon. Seeking collection recommendations. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. The Wrath of the Flame Dragon. Seeking collection recommendation. At the moment when the ancient sword cuts through the red dragon, the screen freezes. A faint sun slowly rises, illuminating the entire world. As the sun remains in the void of the world, the slain fury sword, the red dragon, also gradually disappears. The ancient sword, which contains divine power, stands tall in the center of this world, with a yellow soul surrounding the sword and rising up the hazy scene gradually dissipated, and Wang Xian's eyebrows furrowed, his face pale, and he thought he had suffered a lot. Bibidong looked anxiously at the young man sitting on the ground, constantly praying that nothing was wrong. Success. Lu Shan couldn't help but exclaim with excitement as he saw Wang Xian's eyebrows relax and his overall momentum change greatly. In Bibidong's hopeful gaze, a yellow soul circled around Wang Xian, setting him off as extraordinary. Wang Xian felt the changes in his body and was immediately shocked. His soul power was surging. That's right, it's just a surge. His soul power skyrocketed from level 10 to level 20. Surprisingly, it is truly a divine-level martial soul. Although Wang Xian had been mentally prepared, he couldn't help but be excited after knowing this fact. The divine-level martial soul is the highest-level martial soul in this world, and in the future, he will have the posture of becoming a king as a god. The criteria for judging divine-level martial souls. Innate soul power level 20. Wang Xian was so excited that he almost cried. Is this the compensation after crossing again? It's really tie pants. Also, the 9-yang holy divine skill has broken through the first level. Wang Xian looked inside the dantian and found a disc that was as mysterious as a scorching sun, constantly above the dantian. As expected, the 9 levels of the Soul Master correspond to the 9 levels of the 9-yang holy divine arts. Now he has broken through level 10 to level 20, which is considered as breaking through the first layer. He has produced a yang in the dantian, and the next time he absorbs the second soul ring, he can break through the level 20 barrier, break through the second layer, and obtain the second yang. Wang Xian put away his soul ring, slowly opened his eyes, stood up, his face excited. Brother Wang Xian. Bibidong suddenly rushed into Wang Xian's arms, tears suddenly falling down. She was really afraid of any accidents with Wang Xian's brother. She didn't want him to take risks, she just wanted him to be okay. Wang Xian hugged Bibidong and affectionately rubbed her head, saying, "It's okay, Donger. I'm fine, aren't I? Don't cry." For some reason, as soon as he saw Donger crying, he felt heartbroken and a bit worried. How about soul skills? Lu Shan said eagerly. The innate soul skill of Red Dragon, the Flame Sword. Flame Dragon's Fury, holds the sword for 3 seconds and swings the most terrifying sword with enough killing power to make people tremble. As he spoke, Wang Xian released his spirit of the Zhu Xian sword. As the yellow soul circled around the large sword, it suddenly burst into light. The Zhu Xian sword, which was lifted above Wang Xian's head, became even more extraordinary. The ancient sword, which was originally full of silver, suddenly turned red, and a terrifying force gathered. The fury of the flame dragon. Wang Xianqin drank and swung his sword fiercely. The terrifying fiery red sword turned into a ferocious red dragon and roared towards the distance, passing through flames of anger. The terrifying killing power instantly shattered the several large trees in the distance. How could it be? Lu Shan was extremely shocked and looked at Wang Xian incredulously. How could the power of this soul skill be so terrifying? This soul skill is comparable to any Millennium soul skill. Is this the innate soul skill of the top soul beast, the Fury Flame Sword Red Dragon? Terrifying. On the side, Bibidong was even more surprised and stared blankly. It seems that there is also a big difference between the first soul skill and the first soul skill. In fact, Wang Xian himself was well aware that it was not just the power of this soul skill, but also the conscious incorporation of some swordsmanship insights when wielding the sword, which made the power of this soul skill even more domineering. If his martial soul was a sword, then the power of this soul skill would inevitably be greatly reduced. However, the consumption of soul power is also greater. If he releases this soul skill like this, he can only wither after releasing it 2 or 3 times at most at level 20. It seems that improving soul power is the most important thing. Otherwise, while fighting, others may not even feel its persistence and strength, and it will become meaningless. That's not acceptable. How much has the soul power level increased? After a long time, Lu Shan finally regained his senses from Wang Xian's sword. The soul power level is level 13, said Wang Xian. The amount of his own soul power will not be explored by outsiders, so he concealed the fact that his soul power has actually reached level 20. He doesn't want to reveal his secret. If Lu Shan doesn't do a good job of confidentiality, then he is likely to be finished. After a while, he will come to the Star Forest by himself to hunt his second soul ring and break through to the Great Soul Master. At that time, as he deepens his cultivation of Qingmei Fist and Xianmen Sword Classic, his own strength will also experience a surge. As long as he does not go deep into the Star Forest, hunting the second soul ring for self-protection is not a problem. Sometimes, hiding one's clumsiness and hiding one's strength is to better protect oneself, while other times, showing considerable strength can earn recognition and respect. Great, with such a great soul skill as the first soul skill, the future is limitless. Lu Shan said excitedly. With Wang Xian and Bibidong present, their DC District Junior Soul Master Academy will definitely occupy a place in the Martial Soul City Junior Soul Master Competition in 4 years. DC District Junior Soul Master Academy Team Training Center. Teacher Su, the recruitment information for the team has been released, and it is estimated that the new team members will be confirmed in the next 2 days. Zhao Yu, former captain of the college team, looked at Su Ziyue by the window and said. Due to the fact that the Junior Soul Master competition in Wuhuan City is held every 4 years, the college team is also updated every 4 years. The new recruits are second and first-year students, in preparation for the Wuhuan City Soul Master competition in 4 years. At the Junior Soul Master Academy, there is a 6-year program, and students from 3rd grade and above will graduate 4 years later, so they are not eligible to participate. The competition is divided into individual matches and 7-person team matches, so the new team should have at least 7 people, preferably 8 to 9 people, with 2 people as substitutes. As the homeroom teacher of the freshman class, Su Ziyue is the new mentor of the college team. As a newcomer, she ambitiously set a grand goal for the new team. To enter the top 4 of the Martial Soul City Junior Soul Master competition. There are more than 10 Junior Soul Master colleges in the Martial Soul City, among which the 5 colleges located in the Beiqing district are considered wealthy and have won the top 5 in each competition. No matter how other district colleges compete, they have never broken this curse. The main reason is that the Martial Soul Hall is located in the Beiqing district, so talented martial soul awakeners such as the descendants of major families and strong individuals have also gone to the academy in the Beiqing district to study. And Su Ziyue, as the new mentor of the team, was determined to break this curse. Although the new team has not even confirmed its members yet, her determination is indeed there. A few days later. Team Training Center. Let me be the captain of the team. Everyone should have no objection, right? The speaker is a second-year student in the college, named Lin Tan. His martial soul is Xuanwu Turtle, and he is a 12th level defense level soul master. As the name suggests, the person has an average appearance, a broad and thick physique, and sufficient composure. Your strength is indeed good, but we have approved a total of 7 people to join the team. If there are still 2 people who haven't arrived, we will confirm that you are the captain. Isn't that too good? Former Captain Zhao Yu twitched his lips, not realizing that the chubby little man in front of him looked honest and even threatened his 4 teammates with a threatening tone. Xuanwu Turtle is known as one of the best defensive martial souls, with a reputation of being as motionless as a mountain. This chubby little guy is indeed a strong candidate for the captain, but the captain's decision will still be better when the remaining 2 members arrive. The remaining 2 teammates will definitely agree with my idea, hee, said the chubby Lin Tan with ill intentions. Disagree. Let's communicate and exchange ideas in private alleys. If you beat me up, wouldn't you agree? Brother, take it easy. Although those 2 who haven't arrived yet are freshmen, if they crash, I'll laugh at you for 2.5 years. The skinny monkey boy next to Zhao Tan patted his shoulder and said with a mischievous smile. Skinny bird Yang, if even the freshmen can defeat me, how can I, just eat shit in public? Fat Turtle Forest, don't deceive yourself into eating and drinking. Thin bird Yang is actually called Yang Su, and his martial soul is the leaving tail swallow. He is a 12th level sensitive attack type Soul Master. Because he is thin, Lin Tan calls him Thin Bird Yang. Both of them are talented Soul Masters in the 2nd grade, with ambiguous relationships like friends. Just as the two were passionate about each other, a sentence suddenly came from a distance. I heard someone wants to cheat on food and drink. Pup, the other 3 female team members sitting not far couldn't help but laugh out loud. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Collection of the Splendor of That Sword. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. The Splendor of That Sword, Seeking Collection. Xian and Bibidong walked in, looking at the few people in confusion. After returning from the Star Forest, they heard about the recruitment of the college team, so the two signed up and were confirmed as members of the team. Today, they reported and confirmed the team captain. Lin Tan and Yang Su suddenly felt a pang of pain. The two newcomers happened to happen, so they didn't know how to respond. Seeing the arrival of the remaining 2 teammates, the 3 team members sitting in the distance also stood up and surrounded. Okay, since we're all here, let's introduce ourselves, get to know each other, and then determine the team leader. Former team leader Zhao Yu looked at the few people and said. Lin Tan, Martial Soul Xuanwu Turtle, Level 12 Defense Soul Master. The chubby little man patted his chest and said. Yang Su, the Martial Soul stays at the tail of the swallow, the 12th level sensitive attack type battle Soul Master. Su Mo, Martial Soul Colorful Jasmine, 11 level auxiliary Soul Master. Xian and Bibidong were both stunned for a moment. These teammates were all in 2nd grade, and they didn't expect their soul power level to be only 11 or 12. It's not difficult to understand that having an innate soul power of level 7 or 8 is considered a very talented soul master. Being able to break through to level 11 or 2 in 2nd grade is already outstanding enough. Of course, the more often one cultivates, the slower the speed of soul power improvement. It would be great to be able to improve by 3 or 4 levels in the next year. In short, it's not that these teammates have poor talent, but rather that Xian and Bibidong are too high. Xian, Martial Soul Slaying Immortal Sword, 13 level Strong Attack Series Soul Master. After Xian finished introducing, except for Bibidong, several teammates froze in place and looked at this freshman with disbelief. When did all the new students advance to Soul Master? Still at level 13. Bibidong, Martial Soul Death Spider Emperor, 13 level Control Series Soul Master. Buzz. 13 levels. Death Spider Emperor. A few teammates have not yet regained their senses and are happy to bring up explosive information. For a long time, Zhao Yu finally regained his senses and looked at Xian and Bibidong in a daze, saying, let's start selecting the captain now. The captain has always been the strongest one, Yu. Before Zhao Yu could finish speaking, Lin Tan looked at Xian and said, none of them are as strong as me, but I want to be the captain. If any of you want to be the captain, just play against me and the winner will be the captain. Sure, come on, Xian said with a faint smile. Long before coming, Dong'er suggested that he take the position of captain of this team. Coincidentally, he also had thoughts about this captain, so he had to come and fight. Only by becoming the captain can he have a better chance to lead the team further and gain attention from the Advanced Soul Master Academy, thus laying the foundation for his direct transition to the Junior Soul Master Academy for the next 2 years. Getting attention does not mean exposing one's full strength, but rather revealing considerable strength and obtaining the qualification to enter the Advanced Soul Master Academy in advance. As long as we control this degree reasonably. On the soul fighting platform. Xian and Lin Tan were on both sides, while Zhao Yu stood at the edge of the soul fighting platform, looked at both, and then said, as far as the point is concerned, the winner is the captain. Now, soul fighting. Start. With Zhao Yu's command, Lin Tan instantly released his Xuanwu Turtle Martial Soul and looked at Xian with fiery eyes. His tactics are very simple, using the strong defense of his Xuanwu turtle to consume, and then waiting for an opportunity to shoot Wang Xian down. He doesn't believe it and can't handle this new student. He's a top defense soul master. Well, although the opponent's soul power is one level higher than him, Wang Xian smiled lightly and slowly lifted his right hand to his chest, causing the space around him to suddenly become dim. Then, a sharp aura burst out of his body, and a dazzling ancient sword was slowly pulled out of the space, with a terrifying sword intent sweeping across all directions. What's going on? Just facing his martial soul gives me an ominous premonition. Lin Tan wiped his forehead with a faint sweat. I heard that the Xuanwu turtle's martial soul defense is amazing. I wonder if you can block my sword, Wang Xian said calmly. Under the soul fighting platform. At some point, the team mentor Su Ziyue had already arrived at the training center and was looking forward to the two of them fighting on the field. An outstanding defense-type soul master, a top-level strong attack-type soul master, seems a bit attractive. Although Wang Xian is a student in her class, her understanding of him is also limited. She only knows that he has extraordinary talent. Recently, under the leadership of the Dean, he went to the Star Forest to hunt for his first soul ring. According to the information submitted by Lin Tan, he had already broken through to level 12 a month ago. His background is a Xuanwu turtle martial soul family from the border of the Star Do Empire. It is believed that his understanding of martial souls is relatively higher than that of Wang Xian, and his chances of winning are also greater on the soul fighting platform. As Wang Xian lifted the Zhu Xian sword above his head, the yellow soul surrounded the large sword and suddenly burst into light. The Zhu Xian sword became even more extraordinary, and the ancient sword, which was originally full of silver, suddenly turned red, gathering terrifying power. Seeing Lin Tan trying to break free from his lock by running, Wang Xian's lips curved upwards, and everything was in vain. A hint of molten gold flashed through his slightly narrowed eyes, and Lin Tan's rapidly flickering figure gradually slowed down in his field of vision, the fury of the flame dragon. Wang Xianqing drank and swung his sword fiercely. The terrifying fiery red sword light turned into a ferocious red dragon and roared towards the distance. Everywhere it passed was anger, and the space was filled with explosive factors. Lin Tan was shocked and immediately released his first soul skill defense. Xuanwu Turtle Shield. Boom. The Xuanwu Turtle Shield collapsed with a loud roar, and Lin Tan also flew backwards out of the soul fighting platform. How could this be possible? The crowd looked at the young man standing with a sword on the soul fighting platform in shock. Even Su Ziyue, who was not far away, instinctively rubbed her eyes, thinking she was dizzy. That sword, it's too shocking. Is this power that a soul master can unleash? Are you okay? Zhao Yu and others, who had regained their senses, quickly ran to Lin Tan's side and helped him up for a check-up. They found out that the latter only breathed a sigh of relief after suffering from a skin injury. The reason it's just a skin injury is because Wang Xian left his hand behind when releasing his soul skills, otherwise the consequences for Lin Tan would be unimaginable. In this way, Wang Xian successfully became the captain of the college team and conducted team training under the guidance of Su Ziyue. 1 month later. In the small woods near the college. The sky was still hazy, and a figure could be vaguely seen standing in front of a big tree. His eyes were tightly closed, and he held the sword handle in his left hand and drew the sword in his right hand. Buzz! As the iron sword was suddenly pulled out, a dazzling light flashed by, and the terrifying sword energy instantly cut off the big tree. Ha! The power of swordsmanship is becoming more and more impressive. I believe that with the improvement of soul power level and swordsmanship, this will become a major trump card for me. Wang Xian exhaled his turbid breath lightly and murmured to himself. The power of Douluo continent, a hydrogen world, is already enough to shock many people. Swordsmanship is the first sword technique in the Xianmen sword classic, which is incredibly powerful and can be considered a deadly move. Wang Xian has been practicing swordsmanship for over half a month now, and today he has completely picked up this sword technique that he has already mastered in his previous life. In addition, after a month of hard cultivation, he can clearly feel that his soul power has become much stronger. After absorbing the second soul ring, it is estimated that his soul power can skyrocket by several levels. End of this chapter.